you remember that they're changing my voice. So this is for my story playlist. We should be at part 42 or 43 or so. I've been very careful to tell the truth about everything. Maybe some dates are slightly off or something, but that's about it. It's important to note that they've been trying to make me feel bad about saying things, and I'm right to say it, and I've made many playlists to overkill this. One is about why Jesus righteously insults people, why he's right to rightfully insult people in the Bible. One is proof that I'm Christ, and so on and so forth. And I've been talking about the fact that I'm Christ for years now, and not a single viable counter-argument has been presented. It's important to note that they've changed my shape. They've caused parts of my body to go pale-ish. Okay, but you can still tell that I'm mulatto. You can still tell that I'm righteous. I can't imagine them changing me to the point where I look like a white guy or something. If that ever happened, I'd probably just die immediately or something, because that's not acceptable. So they've done that. And keep in mind, it's important to note that they've fumed me and poisoned me the whole time. And I'm still the only one on the planet talking complete sense. Everyone else is talking rebellion and cowardice and madness. Except for my father, by his actions, my mother, there's something said about my brothers, and that's about it. That's it. Just me and then them, and that's it. So, as they change my shape, you can imagine that is a bitch move. And it wasn't just one group doing it. So keep in mind, in a way, every faction of Christianity, every faction of Judaism and Islam, in a way, every group on the planet played a part, but certainly Western culture had countless groups that were directly involved. There's people who are Mormons and Baptists and Pentecostal and Lutherans and Catholics and on that work for the government that are doing this. There's atheists, Jehovah's Witness, right? Gnostics, Satanists, Luciferians, what have you. There's people who are Freemasons. Countless Freemasons work for the government. There are people from every group you can imagine. Okay, every culture. Surfing cultures, what have you. And they do what the typical person from their culture would do. If your culture has no one on the spectrum of it that is doing the right thing, or that you would expect to do the right thing if they were working for the government and targeting Jesus, how much is that culture worth? People waste their lives in these cultures. The word waste is a play on words for waste set. It's a waste. And you see in the word, right, Nordic has the word dick in it, right? Dictate. Dick Shun Eri. Eri meaning the son of God, the Skywalker, Haro Ares. Eri from Igbo culture. And of course, you'll hear all kinds of false narratives about these ideas. It's a Royal African Falcon heterosexual idea. It will never exist after my flesh is gone. So who cares if they get it right after I die? Because they'll just be Judases talking about it. Traitors, and the offspring of traitors. So it's clear that I'm right. And what is the consensus in regards to whether or not it was stupid and sissy and beta for them to do it? You got to ask yourself, what is the verdict in regards to whether it was stupid and senseless and beta and childish and sissy for them to do it? Well, clearly, it's a bitch move. The verdict, they're damned to hell after my flesh dies. That's a key part of my story. These people would not man up for even every last one of their offspring. Can you imagine them using their children as an excuse? They basically say, hey, for their children, forget their grandchildren, all their offspring, their children have a good time or something. Not be a little bit more stressed. They fucked off every generation of their family. And keep in mind, on top of that, no one should be reproducing anyway. I mean, these people don't give a fuck about their kids. Ask yourself, is it bitch? And there are people who work for them who admit that it's a bitch move in regards to what they're doing. And they've said the military is also doing bitch move. I don't care about any military in the world. They're all doing the wrong thing. And they've been doing immature stuff to cause me to slip on my words. When I think about their tactics, I think of certain types of Jews who are famous for doing things like that. English people with their hazing. Hazing seems to be the most pronounced when it comes from English people. They seem to be the most okay with it. And, America is considered part of the Anglosphere, and most, the number one groups of white people, the most numerous ethnic groups, of white people, if you will, are German ethnic groups and English ethnic groups, right? And then there's a lot of Irish, there's a lot of Italians, Scottish, what have you, but it's really the majority of white people here are, I'd say are basically of Northern European background. If not the majority, it's up there somewhere. Like 26% or so of white people are of white people in America are of German descent. So you have to really take note of that, okay? When you see these failures that are so common in the culture, you have to say, well, who are these people in the first place, right? Well, 67% of Americans are white, and 76 are white or white Hispanic, and 27% of the white people are of 26, 27, or whatever it is are of German descent. These are Northern Europeans, right, to a large degree. And they're the ones who, with the Jews and the LGBT community, are the main ones ordering all these silly things to occur with no logical long-term plan. No logical long-term plan at all. There's a lot of racist white people want you to blame the globalists, even though the New World Order is a white idea. It's not called the Novos Orderum, it's called the New World Order all over the world. That's how people know it. The NWO. We sell bumper stickers, sell it in France, it's NWA. Oh, okay, and it's known as the New World Order. So it's a very English language idea. It's a very white idea. It's Latin rooted, right on the dollar bill. Neo-Roman. And so we have to assign disrespect where it's due and respect where it's due. And I'm not saying whether you should disrespect people because of their races, because I'm trying to not break the rules here on YouTube, but it's important to God and to people who are righteous that you get these things correct. You wouldn't want to blame the Cushites for what the Philistines did in the Bible, for example. You wouldn't want to blame the Asians for what the Philistines did in the Bible. You would assign the dishonor and the disgrace and the pitiful actions to the people who did them, who led the charge, who identified as the cultures, who insisted on those cultures. So as they do things like, they try to use money to try to get people to sell out, and I'll never sell out. And I've said that years and years ago, going back to, I think it might have been the beginnings of my first series. It was at least by 2011. I said I'm somebody who cannot be bought. So 2009 to 2011, sometime there, sometime in that timeline. I said I can't be bought. I will not sell out. But they try to use that. Okay? They try to guilt trip me, sending poor white people around me as gang stalkers who look sad. But it doesn't change the facts. Okay? And that's a huge part of the story. That they failed. And when all is said and done, they'll have failed their families and God more than anyone that's ever lived. Okay, so a minor correction. They're making it harder for me to find statistics like the demographics. According to one source in the news, it's 57% of Americans are white, and then there's the Hispanic population has grown like 6% since, but it doesn't change the bottom line argument. There's still white culture. White Jew and LGBT people are still the main people doing it. So I thought I'd make that correction instead of having to make this whole video again while I'm fumed and they're messing my lungs, my mouth. Okay, that I'd explain that. So you can imagine that there's dumb people who work for the government who are social norm fanatics who think that the minor mistake magically means something important or something. While your kids are being raped, even in churches, even by the Boy Scouts. Wives are being beaten. All these date rapes, all these murders, all this crime, all this pollution, all this contamination, all these toxins, all the abuse of the psychiatry, the political and sexual abuse of mental health processes, and on and on and on. And they're sitting there snickering with some kind of narcissist look on their face, thinking that their greatest achievement was to cause me to make a minor mistake that doesn't anywhere near change my core arguments. That's the opposition view. And they are an extreme disgrace to themselves, their cultures, and their families. How much can a group be disgraced before it's disgraced beyond the point of no return? Well, after my flesh dies, there's no way to do anything right. So that must be factored in.